Well, Russian President Putin has told the Belarusian president that there have been some positive developments in talks with Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, Russia continues to intensify its military offensive. It has now started striking areas in western cities of the country for the first time since the invasion began. Earlier today, Russian President Putin asked volunteers to join the fight against Ukrainian forces. On the other hand, Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that Ukraine has reached a strategic point in its war with Russia and that the country is on the course for victory. Pradeep joining us for more details. Pradeep, it seems like there is some conflicting information that's coming in. On one hand, Russia is, mounting its offensive, targeting even the western parts of Ukraine, which earlier were thought to be safe. And on the other hand, you have Putin saying that there have been positive developments in the talks with Ukraine.
See, that is the reality of war, where you will get different versions, but truth remains the casualty. We have seen that Putin even have been saying that they are not targeting civilian installations. I've been moving in that area, and throughout I've seen that how they had tried to target civilian infrastructure, how they have tried to cause casualty, and that's what exactly is happening. And here now we have seen that they are training their guns towards the western region. They are trying to target areas which had not been targeted earlier. Short while back, I was at a place where I saw that how the shelling was continuing outside in suburbs of Kyiv also, because now they are planning for the final assault. They want to enter inside the Kyiv capital, and shelling has been intensified. Many of those civilian structures have been brought down. I saw smoke billowing out. Almost it has engulfed the whole sky there. And the shelling was so intense that it almost shook earth beneath our feet. So it was really terrifying seeing there. And we saw some of the civilians got hit also. They were to be evacuated to hospital. I saw one lady crying. She lost her only companion and she was left to fend for herself. On one hand, where the Ukrainian troops were trying to be like a wall before a mighty Russian army. On the other hand, they were also trying to console those people who have lost their homes, trying to evacuate them, who have lost their near and dear ones. So it's a very difficult task here. But what we have seen that though everybody knows that mighty Russian army can easily dwarf Ukrainian force, but what actually is keeping the Ukrainians going on, it is their spirit, grit and determination. It is because of that reason that so far they have prevented Russians from entering inside Kyiv. But if you look at the situation on the ground from three sides, the Russians have encircled Kyiv. Now they're only 6 to 7 miles away from the Kyiv, the capital city of Ukraine. So they will use whatever they have to enter inside because they want one. They want one, the Ukrainian army to surrender. Second, they want the regime to be toppled. And third, they want the control over the area. That's one of the reasons that yesterday the foreign minister level talks almost failed. There was inconclusive. A reason being that Russia was coming out from with demands. Those were unacceptable to Ukraine. The demand was that they wanted surrender of Ukrainian army. So
right.
That means if you want the surrender of Ukrainian army, that means you do not want Ukraine to exist. In such a situation, nobody is going to agree to that. But if positive developments had taken place, positive developments should be visible on the ground. Russia, why they are saying that there had been positive development? Because reason being, though Zelensky has mellowed down, he says that they no more want to be part of NATO. That was what actually the Russians had said when they had invaded Ukraine. They had said that why they want to enter Ukraine, reason being that they feel threat to their security as they if Ukraine becomes a part of NATO, there will be NATO footsteps. That means the Western nations will be having their own personal, and that is going to have an impact on their security. So they were left with no other option but to attack Ukraine, and they called it a protection force. But if you look at the situation on the ground, that narrates a different kind of a story. Many of the houses have been decimated, civilian infrastructure has been targeted. So one can't buy what actually the Putin is saying. Nobody can say what exactly is fine. But all I can say, civilians continue to suffer. 2.5 million people have been rendered homeless. Many of them have lost their near and dear one. Children and women are facing the brunt. Maternity hospitals have been targeted. Even then, Russia continues to remain in a denial mode. That reminds me exactly of what used to happen between India and Pakistan. Pakistan used to target civilian infrastructure, and then they used to deny. Nothing of that sort has happened. Exactly the same story is being repeated here in this war zone also. Whether it's Ukrainian war zone, whether it's line of control, everywhere situation remains same. The aggressor always is in a denial mode.
Absolutely, Pradeep. Thank you so much for joining us and getting us all of those details. That's the latest from on ground in Ukraine.